Hello, work life warriors. I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to stop past and talk about the book I am finishing. It is such a long book, so I have been reading it now for 2 weeks. It is Antifragile, and it is such a good book. I have so many thoughts that I want to share. Right now, I'm more than halfway through, and I'll be done by Sunday, which is when I usually finish my book. So, in week two, I'll be done. And ultimately, I'll probably do about 5 or 6 videos. So far, I've already done two, but this one I kind of just want to talk about the idea of anti-fragility. And it makes me think of something similar to the idea where they say love makes you weak. So we're born into families, and our families love us, and they cherish us, and they protect us, and ultimately it makes you feel like in the world that is how others will treat you. When in reality, once you leave your mom's or your parents or whoever takes care of you, once you leave their household, people will treat you all sorts of way. The best treatment that you may receive in your life comes from your parents who birthed you, or your parents in general, or the people who love you. That is the best treatment that you will receive. So when you're out there in the world, most people are thinking about just themselves, and it's no love, although it should be. There isn't. And so you kind of go through like the first 18 or 21 years of your life being covered it. Your parents take care of you, they love you, they protect you, your family, your friends, all the people that you pick, all of the people who have your best interests in mind for the most part, surround you, and then you go out into this world, and then you get a reality check. So for some of us, we get a reality check very early. We are not as covered or protected, or we have parents who are not emotionally mature and going through their own issues and problems that they hadn't worked through. And so you're left unprotected or uncovered. And so you have to grow up, very quickly. You have to learn things and figure things out very quickly. You have to normalize yourself and understand the ways of the world much quicker than most people. And what I realize is that in figuring these things out earlier in your informative years, when you're still learning about the world around you, by you not having your autonomy taken, and you're figuring out the world because you're not protected, or I don't want to use the word protected, but you're not covered it. I think that's the best word. So you're able to kind of extend your wings a little bit and go out there and fly and try without an adult being so worried or concerned about you hurting yourself or making a mistake or ruining a reputation. You are like free to learn and grow during your informative years. And you still have your own autonomy and kind of like figuring out your own independence in the world. It is, to me, what I discovered the recipe for anti-fragility. So for many years, I was trying to figure out like certain things. Like one of the stories I would say, what's the difference between, people who use drugs, and on one side, there's a person who use drugs and they get clean, and forever they announce their self, or their life revolves around being clean. They'll tell you, I've been clean for 20 years, I've been clean for 13 years. And it seems like that's something that is constantly a battle for them, as opposed to some people who just kind of stop using it to clean up their life, and they never mention it again. You kind of find out casually, and they don't see their lives through the lens of that very moment in time when they were using drugs. It was just kind of like a milestone throughout life, just like a marker, a piece of their life, and not their entire life. And so it just, I guess, to me, this book is answering a lot of questions as far as the anti-fragility part. For me, it's more so maybe that person has already reconciled certain things that makes them more anti-fragile than the person who hasn't. What I find is that for me, what I'm not afraid to fail. I fail every day, often. I make mistakes every day, And it's easy for me to kind of just blow it off and reflect and learn and figure out what I learned from it so that I can grow. And I wanted to know, why aren't most people doing that? Why do they continue to hit their head against the same brick wall over and over and over again, even though it doesn't really serve them? It doesn't improve the quality of their life. It's not in their best interest. Why do they continue to do it over and over again? How come they don't learn from it? How come they don't evolve? And then this idea of anti-fragility came, which is more so just like things happen to people. And when life happens to people, the fragile break, and it's hard for them to put themselves together. And the resilient people are, life happens, but when things happen to them, when challenges, when trials and tribulations happen, they don't necessarily change or grow from it. They're not better because of it, and they're not, you know, worse because of it. It's just, they're unaffected. Nothing changed. And so that is, equivalent to resiliency, because nothing really changes from resiliency. It just means that you didn't break. And then the idea of anti-fragility, which is everything, is an opportunity for you to grow and develop, and helping you to understand that if you have nothing to lose, then you have everything to gain. And in looking at life through the eyes of, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain, it means that you're more likely to show up, to play big, to go hard, to live an authentic life, to serve your needs, to work in your best interests. And so it just got me to thinking, because there's a big discussion right now where they're saying, if your kid is doing something dangerous safely, then let them do it. And it just reminded me of so many times where, in my childhood, I was very autonomous, and I would spend hours upon hours outside doing all types of things that now kids are not allowed to do. My apartment was located right in the middle of woods at the top, and in a creek at the bottom. So I played in both the woods and the creek all day long. I ripped and ran in the neighborhoods. I climbed trees. We were outside for hours upon hours without any cell phone, without any parental contact. We would just go in to use the bathroom, get some water, maybe a snack. And now these days, you rarely see children playing outside. It seems like the world is much more dangerous. But in those moments of being an outside kid, I discovered so much about myself, and it continued to make me autonomous and make me stand up for myself and appreciate the life that I was living. It made me an advocate of myself and the things that I wanted and needed. And I was always aware of what was going on inside of me, as opposed to attuning to what was going on in my external world. And so throughout the years, just every event in my life, whether it's good or bad, um, I try to learn something from it. I try to gain from it. Now, I've been very fortunate. I am aware I have not had, many horrific things happen to me. I've lost some people that I've really, really loved. But other than that, you know, I have less large scale dramatic events that happened to me over the course of my life. And so just in general, even some of the worst things that I've experienced, which I've experienced some pretty bad things that cause trauma. If you know anything about the ACEs, I've experienced a couple of things that, you know, basically, make sure that my score is high on the ACEs. But I learned from each and every mistake I ever made, everything I ever did wrong, everything that I thought shouldn't have happened to me or I wasn't prepared to deal with. I tried to process it. I tried to reflect. I tried to learn. I tried to grow. I tried to develop from it. I tried to let it, I don't want to say harden me up or toughen me up, because I don't want to live life hardened or tough. I don't want to have armor on living, while I'm living life. I prefer to be free, wow, move freely. So I don't want to say that I are toughened up. I want to say that I think that the idea of anti-fragility is the idea of going with the flow, of softening when life gets hard. So right now, when life get hard, or when things get or anything gets hard for humans, we tend to push back, or we tend to get hard back. So if someone's talking to you disrespectfully, you talk to them disrespectfully, or some sort of form of that silence, withdrawal, which is still, hostile if you're feeling some kind of way. And so I think the key is that when, things are getting hard for you, instead of you hardening because of it, or toughening up, or armoring up, that you soften. You soften to meet the flow. You go into flow. You relax. You ride the wave. Nietzsche would say, amor fati, you can't really change life. So you have to take the good with the bad, and instead of tensing up, which makes it much worse, or hardening, which makes the situation much worse, what happens if you relax, if you go into flow, if you soften? And that's the idea of, anti-fragility for me. It's like the softest things are able to withdraw, withstand a blow or something jagged, when it's able to move and flow and mold around the hard parts. And many of us have a lot of hard parts due to childhood trauma, but we can, work at it and begin to soften those parts so that we show ourselves grace, and so that we're able to extend grace to other people, so that it's not a matter of conversation, but then we're leading by example. So when a person see that you're going through something and they're witnessing it, and they witness you come through it, they'll see that you handled it in a way that made you better, as opposed to just letting it, whatever it is, happen to you. And so I really like this idea of anti-fragility. It answered so many questions for me. It helped put some things in perspective, and I will continue to read. I probably will get a couple of more videos from this, but tell me, what do you think? What is the overall message of anti-fragility? What do you think it means to you? Can you paint a picture of what anti-fragility is, and how it's shown up in your life, or resiliency, or being fragile? Please just share with me your ideas, and I will do a couple of more videos as I continue to finish this book. So I hope that helps, and I hope you were able to kind of understand some of my thoughts behind anti-fragility. And I just wanted to talk and get some of this out of my mind, to clear my mind, so that I can have more clarity as I continue to read through the book, because I get so many ideas and I don't have someone to discuss it with. So this is the perfect place to just kind of unload my ideas and just talk through what I'm thinking as I'm reading. So I hope that helps. Have a great day, work life warriors.